Welcome back. Now, picking up from where we left off in the last video, let's see how this translates into a real environment. So let's change the view to an actual program. And here we are. This is pretty much a straightforward, simple two-story house. As you can see, the resources are already installed. There is a little bit of over allocation, and just to make it a bit more realistic, I'm going to add another couple of houses into this program so that we're actually going to be building 3 houses, because this will show how we need to balance our resources running through. Now, as I always say, you program first on the logic, so that it's the logical relationships of when things can happen, and you do that on the assumption that you've got unlimited resources, which means if a job can start, it has no relationship to whether you've got the resources to do it or not. That's the earliest logical point it can start. However, that said, as we're starting off, technically we could start all 3 houses at exactly the same time, but let's be a little realistic in terms of we need to make some sort of chain to start with. So if we assume we've got 1 surveyor, so the surveyor sets out the first house. As you can see in here now, I've got a day's work lined up for the surveyor to set out for the first house. If we then say that then once he's done this house, he moves on to the next house and spends a day there, and then moves on to the 3rd house and spends a day there, that becomes our driver for the way the work will be processed. Now, if I actually close these up, just so that it's quick and easy to copy and paste, I'm going to copy and paste all of this work in basically for this house. So as we can see this here now, if I close all of this up, and this is just so you can see quickly and simply what I'm doing. If I hit Control and C to copy it, and I'll leave a space, and now I'll insert there. You can see now I've inserted another house. It's still called lot 1. I'm going to change this to say lot 2. And then I'm going to do the same thing again, and this will become lot 3. So again, lot 3. Now, as you can see, I've got a lot of lot 1s already, so I just need to quickly, it's lot 3, 3, 3, 3. And all of these lot numbers that I'm just having to go through and change are all purely to make it easy to understand when you've got numerous things going on, so you don't get lost. There is another way to do that, to keep track of all of this, which is cleaner and easier, which I'll go into in another video. But in terms of this now, I'm not going to cover that here. I'm just going to basically work through what I've got. And there we go. Now you notice I've actually got 3 practical completions now, or I will have when I open all of these up. We'll sort that out as we go. So the first thing we've got to do is set our driver now. So as I said, the driver is line 4, which will be the survey. So if I scroll down to now our second build, so the survey now, I have basically, I need to follow, whereas I've now got it following the start, which is line 1. If I just go up to now, so we want it to follow line 4. Okay, and so now I'm following. Now, just to make this easier to track what's going on, I'm going to insert a details pane as another window on the bottom. Now, this has a number of uses. The use I'm going to put it to at this time is going to be predecessors and successors. So now when I'm on a line, I can read not just the number, I can read what I'm actually linked to. Now, because I've now linked this to line 4, I don't need to have it linked to line 1, because that's now become a redundant link, so I can take that out. Click OK. Now this is line 120, so next we need to move down to lot 3, and then we need to follow line 120. 3, lot 3. So this now will follow line 120. I click OK, set that. So what I've now done is basically set the start of each house out by 1 day following the surveyor. So you can see now all of a sudden I've actually created quite a lot of clashes because the 3 houses are very, very closely aligned. Obviously my resources now, unless I've got 3 sets of everything, my resources are clashing. And if we now go back into the resources sheet, every one of these now, or virtually every one, is showing that it's over allocated. Now, part of what we do with this now in terms of resource loading and resource optimization is the best word, resource optimization. We use, besides the resources sheet here and the Gantt chart, we use another worksheet called Team Planner. Now the Team Planner is another view of a Gantt chart, but this time, instead of being the tasks and when they happen, we've got the resources and the tasks are shown like this. So what this is telling me is that the floor slab contractor is at its peak here supposed to be in 3 different places at once. So my choices are, I either have 3 teams of contractors and keep the program on track, or else the work has to wait until my contractors are available. Now, as I said at the start, we program the work based on unlimited resources, so that if we need 10 teams of floor and slab contractors to keep the program on track, that's what we assume we have, because this will then provide us with the shortest possible time that it will take to complete the project. So if I just jump back to my Gantt daily sheet now, and we've got a practical completion for each house, and if I'm looking now basically as the 3rd of November 21, starting on the 28th of June 21, job finishes on the 3rd of November. What I've got to do now, I've linked the start of all of these jobs, so the end date will be driven by the final house because that is technically running a day behind. Okay, and what we need to do, because things will change obviously as we go through, we need to have an overall completion. So in fact I'll call it overall completion. Overall completion, and what I'm going to do is insert a milestone that ties all of these practical completion dates together. So in this case the predecessors for it is 348, being this one here, and as you see now it's popped out. Now besides this I also need to pick up the other 2 practical completions as well, and I can either scroll up or I can basically move up through lot 3 until I find the practical completion. So 232, which would be practical completion for 2, and 116, which is practical completion for lot 1. So I click off that now, and you can see they've been added. So this is now showing my overall completion, which matches up to the 3rd lot because this is how the driver is sitting through. So this represents the shortest possible time that it will take me with unlimited resources to finish these houses, because whatever resources I need are, as an approach, are taken to be fully available. So if I now change my view to a critical path by clicking on the filters and choosing critical, and I'll just close this up a bit so we can see a bit more of the program, we can see now that, I'll close this down a little, we can see now that the critical path runs essentially through lot 3, because lot 3 is basically just following the surveyor on 1, surveyor on 2. That's created some slack on each of the other houses, only by a day and 2 days. And at this point in time, this is the most efficient way we can build these 3 houses. Again, as I say, assuming we've got unlimited resources. Now, what I need to do now is take out all of these over allocations so that we can see exactly how many teams of each thing we need on site at any time to keep the program on track. The first thing we do is we say, right, this is the absolute shortest possible time we can complete this project. And in order to do that, what resources do we need? Now, this is just so that we can say, if we need to finish this in the absolute shortest possible time, how much resources do we actually need? So I'm going to change this view. At the moment, it's a task form and it's showing, as I say, predecessors and successors. I'm going to change this view now to my resource sheet, which I can do is to say it's a separate window. And if I change this view into my team planner view, I've now got showing where all the over allocations are, and as I click on each of the resources, you can see it changes here. So in the first instance, as I said before, this represents one team of floor slab contractors. You can see here at this point I need a maximum of 3. So if I've got as many as I need to change this to 300%, because that then represents what I've got a need at the peak. And you can see there 3 teams of takes away the over allocation. Likewise, 200% on these will take away that over allocation. And if I go through all of these now, it'll just be repeat of the same thing. So what I'll propose to do at this point is I'll just do this as last one to show you. And if I turn back to my resources sheet, you can see as I've taken these away, I can see I need 3 teams. Once I've taken all of these away, I could print this sheet and it will give me the numbers of exactly what I need. Now that I've worked out what's needed to complete the work in the shortest possible time, the next step is to dial it back for reality. And I'm going to do that in the next video. So we'll take a break there and I'll see you in the next one.